In this tutorial we cover how to target one of the most visually stunning species of UK and European waters, the Undulate Ray. We'll first show you where undulates can be found. We'll then go through some ideal conditions. We'll then cover some casting and features tips, followed by some advice on rigs and tackle, and some tips on bait. So where can we find Undulate Ray? They are officially an endangered species and have limited distribution of localized populations, so should always be returned alive. In the UK they are limited to the entire length of the English Channel, as well as the southern shores of Ireland. This also is in part due to their preference for warmer waters. On the continent they are found from the Netherlands all the way down to Portugal. They can also be found within the western reaches of the Mediterranean. So what are the ideal conditions for Undulate Ray? In the UK it's actually possible to catch them year-round, especially as water temperatures have gradually risen. The usual main start to the season is around April time when they return from breeding. The first peak season for them is usually between the months of May and June. This is followed by a second peak season in the autumn, when they feed on the incoming bait fish moving inshore. Catches reduce as soon as the end of winter hits, as this is the breeding season, before the rays ultimately return in spring. During the neap tides when water level changes are smaller, they will tend to stay within the deeper channels along the shore. For the larger sized tides they will venture onto the shallower areas using the deeper channels as access routes. For the first part of the flood tide they tend to stay in these deeper channels. As the second half of the flood phase approaches, this will be when they venture up onto the shallower seabed areas looking for food. As the high tide approaches, the rays will retreat back to the deeper channels. Both the high and low tide points will tend to see bites reduce due to the ray's preference for stronger tidal flow. It's actually possible to continue catching within the deeper channels during the ebb phase of the tide. The two best windows of the tide cycle are the middle hours of the flood and the middle hours of the ebb, when the tidal flow is strongest. They will tend to prefer some movement in the water with an easy surf, but will not tolerate rough conditions with any heavy surf, which will see them move offshore. They also will not tolerate heavy colour or sediment mixed in the water. As for many species, overcast skies will tend to bring them inshore more confidently. They can actually be targeted on either day or night tides, though opting for a night tide will likely increase your chances. Dusk and dawn are key feeding periods, as for many fish species. So what are the key features and areas that we should be aiming for? They can be found on either sand or mud seabeds, including where they mix. They sit and hunt along the inclines of sandbanks on the side that faces towards the sea, so aiming your baits here can be effective. Also, don't forget those deeper channels we mentioned earlier. They will also sit and congregate in any depressions that are present to rest out of the tide. Aiming baits in these spots can also produce. The clear ground next to rocky or rough patches can also work due to the food that can be dispersed from these areas. It's possible for these species to come into surprisingly shallow waters on certain occasions. So what about the question of tackle and rigs? A standard beach caster setup will be required. If fishing clean ground, the longer continental style rods will be an option. Your typical beach caster rod will cast between 5 to 7 ounces. Use mainline with a minimum breaking strain of 18 pounds. You can even go as high as 30 pounds for this species. By all means use either mono or braid, though be aware, using high strength and high diameter mono will reduce your casting distance. So for mono it's best to use no more than 20 pounds low diameter line. The up and over rig is highly suitable for ray species. The bait clip ensures the rig is aerodynamic to cast. A 60 pounds mono rig body will be used. Crucially, the snood is set low on the rig, presenting baits lower to the seabed where ray will feed. Though one key factor about undulate ray is that they can also feed higher in the water compared to other ray species. The top clip allows the long snood to be kept aerodynamic during the cast. The snood should be mono with an ideal breaking strain of 30 pounds. Hooks should be around a 3/0 size and definitely should not be too big, as they will not fit in the ray's mouth. Use a strong pattern hook with a long shank. We actually fully recommend the use of circle hooks, as these have been proven to land ray very reliably. They prevent the ray being deep hooked, making it easier for the angler and also improving the survival rate of the fish released. Another popular option is the pulley rig. We won't go into too much detail here. Just know that the rig body, snood, and hook setup will be similar to the previous rig. Pulley rigs are great to use when fishing on mixed ground and present baits relatively low to the seabed. So what about bait? Undulate ray are not actually true rays. They are a skate species that inhabits inshore waters. Hence they are highly predatory. Fish baits are a popular bait and pouting is considered a prime bait to target them. You can also even try whiting during the autumn period. Another top bait is squid. Make sure to use good amounts of elastic to secure the bait tight, so that the ray must take the hook. Other top fish baits include mackerel, which has a good balance of high scent attraction and stays on the hook well. Bluey is also brilliant and arguably has even more oil and scent. Though being soft, it doesn't tend to stay on the hook as long. Either way, you should be changing baits every 15 to 20 minutes regardless of bait choice. Sand eel is of course another option that you can use. Always be sure not to use overly large baits, no matter which type you choose. Let bites develop properly, but if after 2 minutes the initial nudges on the rod tip are not followed by the tip pulling over, make sure to reel in and check. This can avoid leaving rays on a bait to become deep hooked. Hi guys, just a quick reminder. If you like my videos and find that you are learning some useful tips, please do remember to click the subscribe button just under this video. Subscribing is completely free. There's no sign-up process as it's all done at the click of a button. Also do remember to hit the like button if you find a specific video interesting and helpful. Doing these things really does help support the channel and allows me to keep making more and more helpful videos that will hopefully make your sessions that much more enjoyable. Thanks so much guys. Both watercolor and wave action are important factors when it comes to undulate ray. If you'd like to know more on these aspects, check out the video link showing now. Be sure to check out our channel page by clicking the channel name under the video window. There you can browse through the rest of our videos. Thanks again for watching.